Scab attack, Jay Scabanak. What do you have to say about the Denver Nuggets now?
Well, what is up, YouTube Nation? Holy freaking crap. The Denver Nuggets come back to absolutely and unequivocally shock the Oklahoma City Thunder. Whoa. Oh my God. Nikola freaking Jokic with just one more absolute masterpiece for the ages. This guy never ceases to amaze me. And the Denver Nuggets have rendered me almost speechless. Not many things can. Let's try our best to recap this game briefly, if I even can recap it. It looked basically from the start that surprise, the OKC Thunder were the better team. They were leading the game virtually from the get-go. The Nuggets briefly looked pretty good early on. Aside from that, though, the Thunder were leading for virtually the whole game. They were teetering back and forth to absolutely blowing this game wide open. They were up by 12, 14, 15 at various stages of this game. And yet somehow, some way, the Nuggets just kind of stayed around, kind of stayed alive. And of course, how is that? How is that some way that they managed to do it? Well, it's the MVP of the NBA this year, last year, the year before that, and the year before that. The rightful should-be five-time league MVP in a row, Nikola Jokic. Now, this is not a premature victory lap because it still is going to take a Herculean effort to grab 3 more games in this series for the Denver Nuggets. But I've already seen enough. Nikola Jokic is undoubtedly the best player on this planet, and he's the best player in this series. He is better than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He is more valuable than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I have been saying it, screaming it from the mountaintop all damn year, and this game just describes why that is. He just lifts. He is the ultimate lifter, floor riser. He neutralizes every opportunity the other teams have, seemingly, and they have some kind of a shot. That's what Nikola Jokic can grant you. Is this team going to win a championship this year? Are they even going to win this series? Probably not, but they will have an opportunity because Nikola Jokic is the greatest floor riser in the history of basketball, in my humble opinion. And what was it tonight against this hellacious defense, this historically great defense in Oklahoma City Thunder, which was dug in from the jump? Well, Nikola Jokic, in 42 exhaustive minutes, playing against 2 elite individual defenders in Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren. 42 minutes. How about 42 points, 15 of 29, 22 rebounds, and 6 assists. And guys, this guy was playing good defense tonight too. Just an utter exhaustive game for Nikola Jokic, for the Denver Nuggets. It comes on the heels of an exhaustive series, a 7-game slugfest against the Clippers, which just culminated, 48 hours ago, while the Oklahoma City Thunder were lying in wait in this game for 8 days, resting, getting ready and prepared for it. They looked like the better, more rested team all game long, but the Nuggets storm back in the fourth quarter, storm back behind the great legendary work of Nikola Jokic. That's a 36-29 fourth quarter overall, 36 points in the fourth quarter, 35 in the third. Hell, 71 points on this defense in the second half for a team that literally just finished the series, a 7-game slugfest just 48 hours ago. And of course, Nikola Jokic led the way with, I believe, I didn't look at the box fully, but I think he had 15 fourth quarter points, did Nikola Jokic, including the massive 3-pointer, which brought them to within 1 and really gave them a look. It looked like the Denver Nuggets were going to let this thing slide through their fingertips, a golden opportunity to steal it, though, because once Jokic gave them that 1-point lead. They had 2 different opportunities on the ensuing possession to take the lead, which they blew, which led me to tell moderator Gary, who is on the line here with us, of course. Hello and welcome in, moderator Gary.
Yes,
it led
sir.
me to text moderator Gary that the game was over because, they, with under 20 seconds left, they blew 2 golden opportunities. But lo and behold, they get the opportunity for the win at the end, at the buzzer, and it is Aaron Gordon, ladies and gentlemen, for the second time now in this postseason. This one wasn't quite a buzzer beater, but it was the second game winner for Aaron Gordon. And holy shit, what a performance by Nikola Jokic. What just a grind out and just a gritty gut check of a win for these scrappy, battle-tested Denver Nuggets. And oh my, moderator Gary, as they say, a series does not begin until someone loses a road game or until the home team loses their first game. Well, this series just started off the bat, and the Denver Nuggets have seized home court advantage just like that. 1-0 Denver Nuggets. Wow, let me catch my breath here, moderator.
17 points for Jokic in the fourth that I just, according to my calculation, I went to the play-by-play and I counted 17 for Jokic.
17. I'm sorry. I said 15 a minute ago. 17. This guy, what can't this guy do? He neutralizes any kind of an advantage the other team has. He will always give these guys a look. He'll give any team he's on a look. We saw that in the Olympics when he nearly beat Team USA with like 2 other NBA players at all on his roster. And 17 fourth quarter points for this guy. And again, 42 minutes playing through the exhaustion of it all, not just the 42 minutes, but guys, again, a twin tower, if you will. In Hartenstein and Holmgren, they were staggering their minutes some throughout the game, keeping them fresh. Of course, the Thunder in general, they played, I believe, 11 guys tonight because they like to cycle and keep this defense fresh. The defense did look as advertised all first half. But again, as I said, 71 points for these Denver Nuggets in the third and fourth quarters. And Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets just come in here, shock the Thunder, shock the basketball world. And I honestly, for one, cannot believe that they found the way to get this game over the hump. Again, just 48 hours after their Game 7 win, their emotional, highly exhausting 7-game series. And now, seriously, guys, just to bring this full circle here and put some perspective to it, 6 days before the regular season culminated, ownership fired the head coach and the general manager amid a 4-game losing streak to drop the Nuggets from the 2 seed down to, at the time, the 5. They did climb their way back up to the 4 seed to end the regular season. But now here we are, the historically great Oklahoma City Thunder, the team that just broke a 53-year record for net differential, a team that just set the all-time simple rating system record, eclipsing the 72-win Chicago Bulls, a team that has Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is setting to steal Nikola Jokic's MVP, the second MVP he's going to have stolen in the last 3 years. And yet here we are, lo and behold, somehow, some way, the Denver Nuggets get this game. Gary, my goodness, Gary, I really don't even know what to say. Let's unpack Oklahoma City here real quick.
I've got to tell you, I haven't, the last time I felt like this that comes to mind was in 2006 when Smush Parker got that steal and they handed it to Kobe and he laid it in at the buzzer to send it to overtime. And then the Lakers fought back and Kobe hit the game-winning shot. I think that was to tie the series, because the Lakers had no business winning that game, coming back the way they did against Phoenix, just like Denver had no business coming back and winning this game tonight. Boy, oh boy, I'm on a time delay. You're like a minute ahead of me. And there was a minute 15, and I texted you. I said, yeah, Denver, I think they're down 4. And I said, wow, they've really made it close. It shows their heart. And then you were like, oh, it's over. I thought you literally meant time had expired, and the game was literally over, the game was still on, but I was glancing at stuff online. I wasn't paying attention. And then a couple minutes later, I happened to just glance up at the screen, and all I see is Aaron Gordon pull up for this 3-point shot. And I'm like, wait, they're down 2. And I'm like,
Moderator Gary and panel. The one thing that you have to know about me is I'm an infinite pessimist. I always think things are over, things are desperate. It's a hopeless situation. I am just an infinite pessimist. It looked like when the Nuggets had 2 really good looks. Again, I believe this is just top of my head, just recalling it as it went through the closing moments. Jokic hits the 3. It's a 4-point game. Jokic hits the 3 with like under a minute to go to cut the lead to 1, and they then D out the possession for the Thunder, get the rebound, push it back down. Russ gets a wide open look in the corner to hit the 3, blows it. Aaron Gordon gets the offensive rebound, gets underneath the rim, I should say. Not a great look, but gets underneath the rim. It gets blocked out of his hands.
Right.
So then, there's like 20 seconds left now at that point. That's when I texted you it's over, because they blew their 2, what I thought was their only 2 real looks at getting that win. And then for whatever reason, the Thunder decide to make it a foul shooting contest. They're not defending anything out. They're just trying to play the foul shooting game and make their free throws down the stretch to win it. But the only problem with that strategy is you have to make your free throws. And Chet Holmgren, who was the final Thunder to shoot in the sequence of, about 2 possessions back and forth of free throw trading by these 2 teams. Chet Holmgren missed one of the 2. Actually, he missed both. Chet Holmgren missed both free throws. And then it's a 1-point game. The Nuggets rebound, push it. Do not take the timeout. I don't even think they had a timeout actually to take. They push it down the floor. Aaron Gordon gets a clean free look from the corner, despite only needing 2. He lets it flow. He lets it rip, and the 3 goes in. Of course, the Thunder, I do not believe, had any timeouts remaining either. The best they could do is one quick 3/4 of a court desperation heave, and ho-hum, Nikola Jokic is your uncle, and the Denver Nuggets are up 1-0. And again, a Herculean masterpiece by Nikola Jokic. He was a bit of a volume shooter tonight. He took 29 shots, but 15 of 29, over 50% from the field tonight in a game that was
42 points, 22 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 blocks. They're showing the box score on TNT. 42 points, 22 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 blocks.
42, 22, and 6. Again, on 1-day rest, essentially. And in the immortal words of Maximus Decimus Meridius in the Coliseum, are you not entertained?
Right.
Nikola Jokic, exactly. The legend. Like, incredible game. I still am trying to work my way through this, but I do want to give a shout out to the Boston Celtics, New York Knicks. Well, no shout out to the Boston Celtics, mainly the Knicks, who go in there on the road in game 1 of that series and steal that one, 108-105 in overtime, amid 45 missed 3-point shots by the Boston Celtics. 15 of 60. They shoot 60, lose that one in overtime. We could talk about that game too, unpack that one a bit if you guys want. Really, whatever you guys want to talk about. Gary, speaking of which, do we have any questions, comments, or whatever that I need to address?
We have a lot of comments, not so much questions. I think right now we're just all excited. I think right now, because the last few live streams, we've just been interacting about random topics, has been really fun. But this is like we did celebrate Saturday night some, but that was like, we didn't go straight into the live stream while the outcome was hanging in the balance like it was tonight. This is straight emotion right now. I mean, pure, sheer emotion and excitement for what we just witnessed. And make no mistake about it, it's not that the Thunder played poorly. This was not even a choke job. These are the 2 best teams in the league. This is essentially what I believe is the real NBA Finals right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, moderator Gary, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves because the Minnesota Timberwolves have beaten the Nuggets in 6 consecutive games dating back to the playoffs of last year. They are looming still. They are looming still on the other side of the bracket, moderator Gary, and we still have the Boston Celtics. If they can manage to not miss 45 three-pointers and throw up all over themselves, they are still a very talented and highly skilled team that just won the championship.
But they only lost last year because Malone did not rest Jokic. I know your point. You say, oh, well, if they take him out for 2 minutes, they'll go down 10. Well, they were up 20. So if they go down 10, they can put Jokic back in and they'll still be up 10. They can sustain that lead and he'll be fresh down the stretch. So that's my point of why I continue to emphasize that. It's not that the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets. The Nuggets beat themselves. The Nuggets were the best team last year. So the Nuggets are, I'm sorry, the Timberwolves are not better than the Nuggets. I don't believe that. So I'm getting at the Nuggets. When have the Timberwolves even been to the finals? Just two years ago.
But Gary, there is no doubt though the Thunder are the better team. I mean, they won.
That's why I said these are the two best
games.
I didn't say the Nuggets.
But the Thunder won 18 more games this year. And really it could have been more. So the Thunder won 68 games this year, but based on SRS, they exceeded significantly the 72-10 Chicago Bulls. I mean, I think they were like 0.5 better, which is a substantial number when you're talking about SRS.
You're misunderstanding me. Hold on one second. Just let me say this. I'm not saying that the Nuggets are better than Thunder. What I said was these are the two best teams. I think, and this is really, to me, the finals. That's what I'm saying.
And I think, Gary, my big pushback here is the Nuggets are not a good team. I don't think. I think the Nuggets are a mediocre team or a below average team because it has been, look, I don't care. To playoff Jamal Murray, whatever. Like he does show up. He does play big at moments in the playoffs. He wasn't terrible tonight. He wasn't great. Right. 21 points on 6 of 16 shooting. Like not a great game, but not terrible. That performance isn't going to kill you. But when you look, listen, whatever's happening right now in the playoffs, take it with a grain of salt. We know what they've been all year long. They were like this is off the top of my head, around -8 net rating for every single second that Nikola Jokic was off of the floor this year in 82-game regular season. They were a -8 without Nikola Jokic, meaning they were one of the 5 worst teams in the NBA without Nikola Jokic all year when he wasn't on the court. They were 4-8 in 12 games overall when he missed this year. This is not a good team. They are roughly a 25-win team without Nikola Jokic. So don't say that this is the second best team or one of the 2 best teams. It's not. Nikola Jokic is that damn good.
So let me ask,
neutralizing the Thunder's advantage to that degree because of his individual excellence and floor rising.
But to your point, that's what makes the Nuggets the second best team is his excellence. That's my point. And let me ask you this. Who hit the game-winning shot? Aaron Gordon. I told you he had the right pieces around him. And let me ask you this. You're saying that OKC is like a historically great team. Well then, Scap, if they're a historically great team, which I agree with you with, then how did they just blow a big lead to a team if they weren't good? Because to your point, it's Jokic's excellence that puts them at the second best, and Aaron Gordon came through in the clutch with a big boy shot.
Well, that fair. But like Nikola Jokic is the reason, though, Gary. 17 points in the fourth quarter.
I agree.
The 3-point shot with like 58 seconds left to cut it from 4. And it looked like they had no shot the whole fourth quarter. Like, even though they're hanging around. But when Jokic hit that 3 with like 58 seconds left, which cut it from 4-1, all of a sudden there was some belief there. And to your point, though, to my point, I should say, to the strength overall of the Thunder, I mean, they did it just with Jokic, just with the starters. Looking at the starters in this game, the Denver Nuggets starters, Aaron Gordon played 39 minutes. Jokic played 42. Murray played 44. Brown played 40. Michael Porter Jr. was garbage tonight, as he is prone to be. 2 points, 1 of 8, -15 in his 24 minutes. So he got yanked. He only played 24 minutes, but the remainder of the starters played like 40 or more. And they all had advantages. Like they were all plus double digits on the plus minus, whereas the starters of the Oklahoma City Thunder, not good. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the league MVP, as he's going to be this year, despite the fact he shouldn't be and doesn't deserve it, did not play terrible tonight. He had 33 points. He was a volume shooter tonight too, 12 of 26, but he was minus 16 when he was on the floor. And most of the Thunder players were minus double-digit points, whereas the Denver Nuggets starters were plus. But when you get into the bench, though, first of all, the Nuggets played only 3 guys on the bench, and Westbrook played 30 of the minutes. So you had Peyton Watson play only 14, and Julian Strawther play only 5.5. So, you know, they have two of the 3 guys that play off the bench play 14 and 5 minutes. Russ played 30 essentially in place of Michael Porter Jr. And all of those guys other than Russ, the 2 other bench players, non-starters for the Nuggets, minus 22 for Watson and minus 10 for Strawther, whereas the bench players for the OKC Thunder, all plus double digits, plus 13 for Caruso, plus 19 for Wiggins, plus 15 for Wallace. So what I'm saying here is this team is so much better than the Denver Nuggets. They're so much deeper. And the starters therefore should be better as the series goes on, because they're not going to be asked to do as much. Because the Nuggets are just going to have to keep their starters out there for basically 40 minutes a game, and it likely could kind of pull and draw them down throughout the series as it goes, the longer it goes, which is why stealing game 1 was so pivotal for them and their opportunity moving forward. I still think the Thunder should be considered the favorite in this series. Ultimately, hell, look what's going on in the rest of the NBA right now. Like I said earlier, Boston is down 0-1. Cleveland is down 0-1. So all of these upper seeds are down 0-1.
Right.
Like at some point, there probably will be a regression to the mean. I think the degree of difficulty is just so damn high for the Denver Nuggets. Like their starters have to play absolute flawless perfection against one of the historically greatest defensive teams ever, with basically 10 or 11 guys that can defend exquisitely, that will be spelling those starters and keeping them fresh. So while the Denver Nuggets are playing 40 plus minutes, all of their starters, while going up against fresh defenders over and over and over again throughout this series, it's going to be a hell of a task to beat this Thunder. But this was a hell of a first start in getting this series win, Gary. So
So I am not saying that I think Denver is better than OKC this year. What I'm saying is I do believe that they are better, in my opinion, than the other teams. Like, say, for instance, the Celtics. I think they would have beat the Celtics had they made the finals, or the Cavaliers probably, most likely. So what I'm getting at is I just feel like these are the 2 best teams in the league overall, and I disagree that Denver's not a good team. I do agree with you that it's because of how good Jokic is. So let's ask in the chat. Let's take it to a vote. Are the Nuggets a good team? Yes or no? And let's see what the chat says. And let me jump on some of these super chats, Jay, because we've got a good bit and we appreciate that. Right now, we're just excited. And I see some comments saying, oh, man, they're arguing. They're going at it. This is what we do. We debate. We have fun. So what you're doing now is you're seeing like a regular conversation with us. And this is what makes it fun. Okay.
And go ahead, Gary. Go ahead.
Oh, and Jay, props to this. On your 4th official live stream, you've got 1,167 people in here. So props to all you guys for showing up. I'm going to go over some of these super chats. I'm just going to read some of the comments and we'll ask a question. But like Dutch, thank you for $2. He says, let's go. He's excited for the live stream. John Ratcliffe, sorry I'm late. The Celtics pissed me off. We feel your pain. Isaac, Jokic stats speak for himself. Give him, yes. Nate 0123 with the 5-piece. Thank you. Maybe Jokic getting snubbed is our secret superpower. They won their first chip when he got snubbed last time. How epic if it happened again. Go ahead and comment on that, because Nate, I think there's a chance. I'm not saying they're going to beat OKC, but I'm not saying it's impossible. Kevin Garnett, anything is possible. We believe.
Yeah, Nate, that's a great point because, of course, Jokic got snubbed in 2023 when Joel Embiid got that, obviously, the ridiculous pity MVP award, which was stolen from Nikola Jokic. But then the Nuggets go on to capture the NBA championship that year. So, Nate, great point. Hopefully, from your lips or from your fingertips to the basketball gods' ears, and hopefully the Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic could pull an absolute miracle this year. So that would be great. And that would be great retribution for Nikola Jokic, who gets cheated out of an MVP, but would get another title on his mantle. So that would be very poetic, Nate. So
JE, thank you for the 5-piece. Epic. Go Nuggets, instant class. You are right. This is a memorable game. Even if OKC wins the next 4, which I hope that doesn't happen, this is still a classic. JE is exactly right. Jokic bailed out Aaron Gordon.
Back in who of course is a Jokic hater. We know this from the last couple Scap Live After Dark sessions where E was coming at me. Yes, Nikola Jokic bailed out on a 42-point, 22 rebound, 6 assist performance in which he scored 17 clutch fourth quarter points. You have had some really pitiful commentary in the Scap Live After Dark Lounge, but thank you though for at least supporting the Scap Live After Dark with your pitiful comments. I do appreciate that at least.
10X with a 2-piece. Man, what a thriller. Yes, Nuggets just don't give up. Exactly. Squared away with a 5-piece. Have 3 road teams ever gone 1 game, 1 second round before in the playoffs? You know basketball much more than me.
Well, I'm sure it has happened at some point in some stage at some round, but to do it basically, look, the 3 biggest odds-on favorite to win the championship squared away. Thank you for sponsoring the Scap Live After Dark session here, and great question. But while I'm sure it has happened at some point, some stage of the playoffs, sometime, I think it's really shocking in this moment in this series, because the 3 teams that have been favored basically like all playoff long, all season long, have been the Thunder, Celtics, and Cavaliers. Like unquestionably those 3 teams, and then like the whole rest of the field way below those 3 other teams. And I mean, why not? Like a 68 win Thunder team, a 64 win Cavaliers team, I think 60 somewhat. The Celtics, I think, won 60, and they of course won the championship last year. So to see all 3 of them lose their first game is shocking. I'm not sure exactly how much the Pacers were underdogged by in their game. I think maybe 8 or 9. The Knicks-Celtics game opened at 9.5. I think it was 9 by tip-off. And then tonight, actually, the Thunder opened as 9.5-point favorites against the Nuggets. It was 10.5 by the time the game tipped off. So all 3 significant favorites, to all 3 of them lose their game ones is no doubt a pretty shocking sight to see. But great question squared away.
Light speed of the 5-piece. Thank you for that. Nuggets more battle-hardened, mentally tough, due to hard-fought 7-game series versus Clippers and recent coaching scandal.
Great. Great. Light speed. Thank you for the contribution. And yeah, I mean, I just think they're more battle-hardened and maybe mentally tougher just because they've been through the rigors of a championship run. Look, there's something to it that young, unproven teams typically don't win championships throughout the history of the NBA. Now are the Thunder young and inexperienced still? I don't know. You can try to make a case maybe that they went through their learning process last year because the Thunder, look, were the 1 seed last year. The Nuggets and Thunder tied last year in the regular season, but the Thunder had the tiebreaker over the Nuggets, so they got the 1 seed. And actually, look, the Thunder were better than the Nuggets and any other team in the West last year. They led the Western Conference in net differential in SRS. They were second league-wide behind only Boston. So they were the best team in the Western Conference last year. I think they kind of choked against Dallas. in the semifinals last year, but that should be expected from a young, unproven team.
Right.
But now you expect this year the Thunder come forward now using the experience that they gleaned from that choke job last year in the semifinals, and they now get the job done this season, especially with how great, all-time great they've been in the regular season. The fact that Shea is going to win the MVP, they must win the championship this year. And if they were to lose, the only acceptable loss would be to the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals. They certainly damn sure can't lose in the second round to a team that fired its coach 1 week before the playoffs began. So this would be an epic choke job if they complete it, and just a hell of an effort by the Denver Nuggets. So we'll wait obviously to see. The great thing about sports, the reason why I love sports so much is because we don't have to speculate. We're going to see. Like, we'll see over the next 10 days or so. We'll see it all play out. Exactly. And we'll just and we'll be here to unpack it as it happens.
Tony with a two-piece. Thank you, sir. Nikola Jokic following Bill Russell's footsteps. Oh my goodness. And now we have our hater back, E, with another two-piece. Thank you for that. SGA was robbed. Nuggets paid the refs. Wow. This guy is bitter. This guy's a hater.
Now let me say this. I certainly I never all season, E, did I ever give into the Shea Gilgeous Alexander foul baiting narrative. I never made one video, I never made one reference or one comment about the SGA foul baiting and a free throw merchant. I never once said that. And I'm not going to say it now, but it is undeniable that SGA shoots a decent amount of free throws. Now the Nuggets did have a mild advantage at the free throw line tonight, and it was very mild. Like, this isn't a minor, I should say. This wasn't a Lakers situation where, the Lakers are out shooting their opponents by like 25 free throws a game in big moments. It was a 5 free throw advantage for the Denver Nuggets, but Nikola Jokic was getting absolutely mobbed and beaten up all night long. So I think 5, it wasn't, to me, watching the game, it wasn't like a glaring discrepancy throughout the game in the fouls. And keep in mind, the Thunder were intentionally fouling too, as were Denver, though, down the stretch. So I think it was a pretty fairly evenly called game by and large. But E, you can make whatever excuses, obviously, you would like to make. Of course, that is your prerogative. But it's a bad take, as are most of your comments, though, E. But just want to say that out.
Terry P-Rose Kennedy with a 5-piece. Thank you for that. Scap, did the Nuggets you saw tonight look like the same team you saw losing game 7 last season? But that's getting ahead of ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly they looked they've looked like a much different team all playoffs long. The team that lost in game 7 last year to the Timberwolves, and by the way, the team that showed up against the Timberwolves in games 1 and 2 last year looked like the team that I saw all year through 82 this year in the regular season for the Denver Nuggets. And now they look much different against the Clippers and tonight. Not only are there, contributions coming from various different areas of this lineup up and down, and many people give me trouble about problems about Jamal Murray, my various takes on Jamal Murray. Again, Murray, 21 points tonight on 6 of 16. He wasn't terrible at all. Like, I'm not saying that that's a fine game. I'll take that game. It wasn't a great game. Aaron Gordon was good, 22 points on 7 of 15. And Russell Westbrook, again, it's a tale of good Russ, bad Russ, a tale of 2 Russes generally. You usually hold your breath every minute he's in there. He played 30 tonight, though, and he was humongous tonight, 18 points on 7 of 13. But through Nikola Jokic, all things are possible, as I always say. He is the floor riser, the ultimate floor riser. And, they're playing great defense now, too. That sounds, like a joke or something, but the Nuggets are playing great defense. They play good defense tonight, and they have been basically since they fired Michael Malone. So maybe there was something there to that. But we'll see. This series is not over, guys. I'm just celebrating. It's just a great game. One starts a great start. And I think Nikola Jokic definitely flexed his muscle tonight. I think he showed Shea was not terrible tonight, but there is no doubt who the best player is on the floor in this series. It's definitively Nikola Jokic.
Yes, sir. Steph, I don't like Jokic, but happy for the win. Yes. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Steph, and welcome. Steph is a pretty active. This guy, Steph Handel, is a pretty active member on my channel in general. He's typically disagreeing with most of the things I say, but always there nonetheless. So I appreciate you being there and being here, Steph. Thank you very much.
Squared away with a 5-piece. Why is only Brunson on ISO and everyone else standing still on half-court offense? Why no off-ball movement? Is that normal? Pick and roll, pop, two-man game?
Yeah, I feel like when I'm watching the Knicks, they're old school, like hero ball, isolationist, centric play. I do get that. And Brunson is a really, really gifted scorer, but he's also kind of like a volume scorer as well. So Brunson is like a kind of a throwback player, great player from, like the 90s or 2000s, like a high volume of shots, a lot of them coming in isolation. But Brunson had a phenomenal playoff run last year. And I think they ultimately could have given Boston a better series last year if they didn't all get hurt in their series. I think it was against Indiana. I mean, OG Anunoby popped his hamstring, it looked like, or at least strained it badly, missed some time in that series. Julius Randle hurt his shoulder, missed a lot of time there. And then even Brunson himself, I think he broke like a bone or broke something in his hand in that series. So I think the Knicks bowed out prematurely last year. I think they were probably the second best team in the East last year, but they didn't ultimately get to Boston. So we'll see. Now, look, we'll see what they do this year. They're off to a good start, but I wouldn't be feeling. I think the Nuggets looked like they did maybe figure something out in that fourth quarter or the second half altogether. And I think really Dagnall, coach of the year last year for Oklahoma City, I think he's going to have to sit down and reevaluate what he's doing with the minutes. He was splitting, I mentioned it earlier, he's splitting Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren's minutes, trying to keep like a fresh defender out there for Nikola Jokic at all times. But I think they're going to need to put both those guys on the floor. Both those guys have started and played minutes together throughout the second half of the season once Chet came back from the hip injury. So I think you're going to have to throw more at Jokic because Dagnall went small tonight with just like one of those two guys. And Jokic, that's why the fouls started piling up. Like Jokic is going to punish that if they can engage any kind of a mix or a switch with a small. Jokic was just attacking that and feasting all night. And he's just too clever for you to try to do that. So I think there's some things that Dagnall can do, and he will do, obviously. He's a great coach. Coach of the year last year, as I said. So there will be adjustments, and Oklahoma City overall can play much better than they did tonight. Still, though, I think Denver should probably be feeling better about themselves than the Knicks after their game one win, because Boston could not have played worse. As I said, they missed 45 threes. Tatum played horrible. Porzingis went out after 12 minutes with some kind of an illness, and yet still they were in that game till the very, very end. So I think Boston is still probably going to win that series. And I really don't see it going 7, but we'll see. Boston, even last year on their run, they showed that they would keep lesser teams in it. That's just what they do. That's their MO. It has been throughout the entire Tatum and Brown era. I was working on a quick little video on them and on their exploits tonight with the diarrhea rolling down their leg as it was throughout their game tonight in game one. So I was just about ready to post that video when all hell broke loose in this one. So I wasn't even planning on coming on here tonight, but I felt like I felt compelled to do it. So, and I'm glad to be on here with you guys in the SCAP Live After Dark session here. So many thanks to you, Squared Away, for sponsoring us here.
Q's, the Syracuse man is back. Q's Mo Jimbo with the 5-piece. Thank you for that. How about the Knicks, SCAP? Coming back in game one against the Celtics like the Bills did against the Oilers in 93. Go, New York. Go, New York. Go.
Wow, that's yeah. Cusmo Jimbo, welcome back to the party, pal. Welcome back to Scap Live After Dark. And yeah, I just finished talking about the Knicks some. We'll see. I mean, look, in one game, you obviously want to win a game than lose it. And especially when you are the road team and you are a substantial underdog in the series, stealing that game one is just so monumental because it gives you more than likely you're going to get split when you go back home because you're playing like a far superior team. So, just getting that game one, like out of the way, getting the split in the first two is big for New York, but we'll see. And Cusmo Jimbo, to your point, it was a massive comeback. The Celtics did have the diarrhea running down their leg, as they typically are prone to do at times. They blew a 20-point lead with, I think it was 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. They were up 20, and they actually were down 7 with like 4 minutes to go in the fourth. 6 or 7, they did come back, take a 1-point lead briefly before, the teams exchanged a couple misses and they get into overtime. And when it went into overtime, you're thinking when the superior team is at home, they regroup at home, go into the overtime session. You're thinking, well, obvious huge advantage to the home team. Didn't play out like that. So tip of the hat, kudos, all deserved praise to New York in this one. And Cusmo Jimbo, many thanks to you for coming back in, sliding your way back into the Scap Live After Dark Lounge here.
Okay, Mason with a 5-piece. Thank you for that. I'm pretty sure there's a typo here. This is pretty funny. They need to regulate MPJ to the bench. 150 million a year? Does MPJ get 150 million a year? And is completely unreliable if he can't hit his 3-point shots.
Mason, many thanks for your kind donation. And yeah, the thing here about Michael Porter Jr. is it's not a $150 million per year, obviously, contract, but it is a $150 million contract, which pays him roughly $40 million a year. And again, tonight, he was 1 of 8 for 2 points and a -15. The only starter that wasn't plus double digits in plus minus tonight. -15. So yes, Mason, they do need to regulate his bum to the bench. And by regulate, we mean just bench him. Maybe bring him off the bench. In fact, I don't know. I guess you start him, you see if he's going to start hitting shots at the beginning of the game. And if not, maybe just move away from him at that point because he's terrible defensively as well. So I think Russ, by and large, throughout these playoffs, they've been much better with Russ on the floor. So they're probably going to continue to go with Russ for the majority of the game and will get MPJ mercifully off the floor.
John Ratcliffe with a 2-piece. He's agreeing with you and disagreeing with me. No, the Nuggets are effing trash. Jokic is MVP. I never said Jokic is not MVP. I just said there's always a couple role players who come through. It's just some of the role players are going to be terrible and some are going to be good, but they always seem to find a way to pull it out because of their heart. And tonight it was Aaron Gordon that came through at the end.
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, Murray was decent tonight. Gordon was good. And Russell Westbrook was very good. Christian Brown was okay. I think he had a very rough start, but he ended the game very well. And then, of course, Jokic
his MVP.
Just did what he did. So, but yeah, it will be interesting to see, how they come out with the effort in game 2 on Wednesday. Obviously, this team has to be getting gas. They played the full 7 where the Thunder had a week off. They're obviously the much deeper team. The Nuggets, as I said earlier, had to go 40 plus minutes for 4 of their 5 starters. So at some point, the minutes are going to start catching up to them, I would think. Obviously, we would believe that the Thunder are going to win game 2, but I'm hoping that the Nuggets at least come out with a decent effort, at least to put a little bit of pressure on the Thunder, because the Thunder have all the pressure, as will the Boston Celtics, as will the Cleveland Cavaliers. When you're down 0-1 and you're at home, it is an absolute must-win game in game 2. So that will be interesting to see how both teams come out in that one on Wednesday. But that's another game for another day, as they say. Will N is in. Thank you, Will. Another regular here in the Scap Live After Dark area. So many thanks to you. Gary, what does Will have to say?
Aaron Gordon sent Chet Holmgren to the shadow realm with that dunk.
Yeah, that dunk happened. That was a set. At some point in the second. I'm not sure if it was the third or fourth, but yeah, Aaron Gordon. It was a bit of a break situation. And I don't even know. Like, it happened so fast. I didn't even see the ball go in really. Upon replay, yeah, that was a hellacious dunk, and which was an and one by Aaron Gordon. He got fouled too, and yeah, he went straight through the chest of Chet Holmgren. That was a pretty crazy dunk. So yeah, Aaron Gordon has been doing work in these whole playoffs, and particularly tonight. Good game. That dunk, great, and then of course the 3-pointer, the massive 3-pointer.
Jay with a 2-piece. Is LeBrick on his burner? Jay, have you ever wondered if LeBron has ever watched one of your videos? I bet you he has, because narcissists always like to search stuff up online to see what people are saying.
You know, I don't know, Gary. That's a good question. Jay Handel, thank you very much. And we'll have to get to the bottom of that. Maybe we can get someone out to do some investigative journalism here on and uncover if E is in fact just a LeBron burner. But you know, I don't know if LeBron is ever tuning into Scap Attack, but I'm sure someone on the LeBron team, the team of jock sniffing sycophants out there on Clutch Sports, someone is probably aware of me, and who knows? The day I get any kind of a contact from someone on the team is the day that I really feel like I have made it.
You have arrived, yes, sir. Okay, thank you, John. But I can tell you the answer is going to be no. But let me go ahead and ask anyways. If I give you a $500 super chat, will you masquerade as a LaFlop fan in full-on LaFlop gear and have all the excuses ready to go?
John, you have been already a very generous donor here in the Scap Live After Dark area. So I am very, very grateful to you and your continued support of me here. But save your money. All right, John, let's not go overboard with the 500, because I don't think 500 would not be enough for me to don the full on LeBron gear and act like a jock sniffer bootlicker like his fan base are. It would take more. I'm not saying there isn't a price, but my dignity has a little bit higher to go than 500, John. You know, maybe you can just keep raising that dollar figure and see just what my number. I actually had this premise for a game. Quick sidebar. I mentioned this, I think last night or the night before, that my friends and I have this ongoing kind of funny conversation about how everybody has a price. Like we all know that person that's like, no, I would never do that. I would never do that.
Right.
But if there is a price, like whatever the money, the figure is, like if someone brings in like a case of $100 million or whatever, there's like practically nothing you won't do. Probably like, so there's a number. So I had this idea for a game show called Breaking Point, where you have like 3 contestants on. Maybe I could be the host of this game. And you bring up some crazy task, and then the 3 contestants bid against each other to see how low the dollar figure is that one of them would do it. So breaking point, John, what would be my breaking point of becoming a bootlicker for some amount of time? I don't know, but it would be higher than $500. I can tell you that. But thank you, John, for your continued support of me here in the After Dark area.
Okay, so we do know Scott will wear a LeBron jersey for $100 million. If anyone wants to donate,
I do it for less than $100 million, but more, somewhere between 500 and $100 million would be my number.
Okay, well, there you go. All right, Jazz 0033. Contrast between Joker's consistency and the rest of teams' inconsistency is torture. And you're absolutely right. I don't disagree with that, by the way.
Yeah, and that's pretty much where I'm getting at. Like it is so frustrating. Jazz, thank you for the donation, and thank you for the comment, because I agree. Torture in a capital T on torture is a great way to describe watching this Nuggets team, because they do have a high ceiling where this kind of a performance is possible. And look, they split the Thunder in the regular season 2-2. And they were in, other than that first game, the first game of the season where the Nuggets got blown to pieces, they were in those back 3 games. Because they can be in a game with anybody, but they can also lose to anybody. Like they lost again. I have to say this. They lost to the Wizards twice. And Jokic in those 2 games, in one of them, this is top of my head, I want to say he was like 58 points, like 15 rebounds and 7 assists in the one game on like 65% shooting, lost that game. Then he came back the next game that they played them and was like 40, 45 points, 13 rebounds, 9, something like that. So 2 on very high percentage, and they somehow lose that game too. So 2 games they played against the Wiz, 2 games they lost to the Wiz. So they can beat anybody or lose to anybody because, yes, as Jas highlighted it, they are so freaking inconsistent. You know what you're going to get from Nikola Jokic. Historical excellence almost every game. Like even last year in that Timberwolves series, I mean, the guy still, he's like 30, 13, 8 on over 50% shooting in a very tight defensive series. So like we know what we're going to get from Nikola Jokic. Nearly, 30-point triple doubles every game, regular season or playoffs. What will the other guys do? That is the big story every game with them. Tonight, there was enough that they were able to get this win. And again, a huge win it was as they take home court advantage right off the bat in this one.
Richard Balagot with a 2-piece. Thank you for that. And I have said this myself. Classic case of experience winning out. And that is why I gave the Nuggets a slight chance because OKC, as good as they have been in the regular season, have still not even made a finals appearance yet. Not saying they won't or they can't. Just saying they haven't done it yet. And there's something to say about the confidence when you've actually won a championship. There's a new level of confidence, and the Nuggets have that. And that's why I give them a slight chance in this series, even before this game, even though I do believe OKC likely will win.
Now, to unpack it, Shea was, again, I said, was not good. He was not terrible, though. Shea didn't choke. Like, he played a good enough game to win, and he played well in the fourth quarter, too. He hit big shots down the stretch in the fourth quarter, too. Shea is a great player. He's arguably the second best player alive right now, but there's no doubt that Nikola Jokic is the best. Shea, though, looking at his team, well, they did not provide him with the support he would need to win 4 games in this series either. Chet Holmgren with 12, Isaiah Hartenstein with 12, Dort had 14. Caruso was the big story. He 20 points on 7 of 12 off the bench. And he was a very, very, very good tonight, not just offensively with those 20 points and 5 of 9 from the 3, hit a number of big shots, but he was an absolute nuisance on defense. He was everywhere, it seemed like, on defense. So Caruso off the bench was big. But look, Jalen Williams, not a banner night tonight. I'm consistently dogging Jamal Murray for the effort that he gives Jokic as the second best player. So, Jalen Williams' name needs to be said tonight. 16 points on 5 of 20 shooting. This is a guy who was an all-star this year. This is a guy who is top, 20 league-wide in every advanced metric, and he has to be better than that if they're going to win this series. And Shea needs him to be, but Shea deserves better performance from his second running mate than he got tonight out of that. So that stands to be mentioned as well. But yes, Richard, thank you for the donation and great point. The Nuggets are battle tested. This core of players, the 4 main guys, even though MPJ is playing terribly by and large throughout these playoffs, these guys have been through a plethora of playoff runs, not just that championship run in 2023. They've been together for 7, 8, 9 years. This core of, Gordon came on a little bit after, but these guys have been together. They've been growing together through playoff success and playoff struggles. So, they are battle hardened and they are tested and they are not going to be an easy out. Obviously, they've proven that at least in this game, if nothing else.
All right, we got Syracuse fan back. Q's Mo Jimbo, the 5-piece. Thank you for that. Hey, Scap, please tell both Ja Rule and Stephen A. Smith not to do anything stupid to screw up the Knicks' playoff momentum like they did last year.
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith, yeah, he is a jinx, obviously. What is he? Orange and blue skies or whatever he's probably going to be on tomorrow. Right. He probably was already on at some point tonight, probably lavishing praise on his Knicks. But yeah, Q-Smoke Jimbo, there's nothing I can do about that. I'm sorry. You're gonna I don't have the ear of Ja Rule or Stephen A. Smith, unfortunately, for you and for the Knicks. I will not be able to get the message that you want me to them. But thank you very much for continuing your support of the SCAP Live After Dark here.
All right, we'll end with a 2-piece. Josh Hart doing the Dream Shake on Porzingis. LOL.
Yeah, the Knicks. Look, the Knicks. I would love to see it. I personally, I would love to see the Celtics just throw up all over themselves this year, because I do not really respect that title that they got last year, because they didn't really play anybody. You know, they went. Giannis had the Achilles tendonitis or calf strain or whatever the hell. Giannis missed the whole first round of the playoffs last year. Therefore, they lost without him. So Joel Embiid, look, say what you will about that guy. He barely plays 50% of the time. He's on the court throughout his career. But when he is on the court, he is a great player. And he wasn't on the court during the playoffs because he limped through their series. He tried to play and got it out, but his knee wasn't right, and they lost as well before they got to the Celtics. You had Donovan Mitchell last year get hurt in their series, so he missed half that series. And then, of course, like I said, half the Knicks squad got hurt last year on their way to the Celtics. And then I'm pretty sure Tyrese Halliburton got hurt for the Pacers when the Pacers were playing the Celtics. They didn't have to play any of the best players on their way to the finals last year. And then the Mavericks, well, they just choked in their own right, I thought, in that series. Sure, they weren't maybe expected to win, but they could have played a lot better than what they showed. Luka Doncic, after a masterpiece throughout the Western Conference playoffs, it looked like he played like the guy that the Mavericks traded away. Looked like he played like an apathetic, fat, slow guy that didn't want to defend once he got into the NBA Finals last year. So, look, I wasn't over the moon on that championship run by Boston last year. They've shown a penchant for choking. They choked away a 2-1 lead as the superior team in the 2022 Finals to the Golden State Warriors. They, of course, blew multiple games, multiple series against the Miami Heat as a much higher seed. So, and I think they were up 3-2 going way, way back. They were up 3-2 on LeBron when LeBron was still with Cleveland. So they have basically choked every year in the Brown Tatum era until last year, and they didn't play anybody. So I'm rooting for them to at least get someone's best shot this year in the East. And it looks like the Knicks are game and they're ready to deliver it. So let's hope that they are. I know I will be.
We just want to hope for a great, entertaining series. All right. Feel Good Realty with the 5-piece. Thank you for that. Maybe Mike Malone was the problem. They have been playing much better team basketball since his departure.
I can't push back on that Feel Good Realty because I was critical of the Michael Malone firing, mainly because I didn't think Michael Malone was as much to blame as the loser front office there. Right. That they have deployed since basically, I think it was Tim Connolly, since he left to go to Minnesota, whatever it was, like 3 years ago. And Calvin Booth, let me just say his name. Let me just speak Calvin Booth's name loudly and clearly. Bum ass loser that Calvin Booth is, and the putrid team building that guy has displayed in his time, as the general manager. So I thought that Michael Malone was catching a bad rap and going down with the ship. I thought, of course, Calvin Booth should have been fired years ago. And I just didn't like the timing of it. You wait 6 days before the season end. It looks like you're just essentially waving the white flag and giving up on the season. But I cannot argue the results. They ended the season on a 3-0 win streak in the regular season to claim the 4 seed and get home court over the Clippers, which obviously proved massive because that Game 7 then was in Denver instead of LA. So great close to the season under Adelman. And then they go and they win, I think, a big surprise winner in that first round series against the Clippers. And now an absolute stun job of the Thunder, and to go up 1-0 in this series, just an unbelievable turnaround. And so, yeah, we can say maybe Michael Malone was a problem. Maybe Adelman does deserve a lot of the credit and the praise here. But how about a shout out to some people? I've been seeing the name thrown around, bandied about this chat, Kochick. Like, how about a shout out to Nikola Jokic and maybe what he's doing now, being more vocal and leading more, like a verbal leader more so. I mean, we've seen it time and time again, him getting animated on the sideline with guys. They showed it again. They cut away tonight during a timeout, and Jokic was standing up, screaming at teammates, not in maybe a negative way, but imploring them, coaching them around in the timeouts. So, I mean, shout out to Nikola Jokic and whatever the hell he's doing too. But sure, I mean, if they go on some kind of a miracle run here after Malone got fired, I mean, yeah, feel good realty. You can maybe say Malone was somewhat to blame. And not only are they playing better defense now, much better since Malone's gone, but they are playing better team basketball. Like, it looks like the players around Jokic are playing better now with Adelman calling the shots. So, we'll have to wait and see how the rest of the series plays out, but undeniably a great start. Jolly Joshams is back in. He's a regular. He's been here the last couple nights as well. So Jolly Joshams, welcome back to SCAP Live After Dark, and many thanks to you for your continued generous support and sponsorships here of SCAP Live After Dark. Moderator Gary, what does Jolly Joshams have to say here?
I know Joker will do his thing, but is it wrong to say this team will only go as far as Russ and Murray go?
No, that's not unfair at all, Jolly Joshams. And it's going to take more than Murray and Russ, to be honest with you, or Murray/Russ. It's going to take more because, look, we saw Jamal Murray, playoff Jamal. The mythical alleged playoff Jamal did actually show up in Game 7 last year of that semifinal loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves. He had a huge game in support of Nikola Jokic. The two of them, I think they combined for 69 points in that game last year in Game 7, Murray and Jokic. Unfortunately, the rest of the team combined, other than Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, scored just 22 points in the whole game. So it's going to take more than just two guys against this really deep, really loaded Thunder team that is going to throw 11 guys at you every night. So, and not lose much when they go to the bench. If anything, look, they were much better, much better than the Nuggets bench players when they went to the bench tonight. So, it's going to take more. But yeah, great point, Jolly Joshams.
And to piggyback right off that, you're on point about Nuggets being the worst team, but they got some reserves too. We all know Murray can give you 40 and 15 points of MPJ is all we need. And that's his point, is that Murray's not consistently giving you 40 and Porter's not giving you 15. He agrees that if they contribute like that, the Nuggets would be a lot more successful.
Yeah, I mean, and the sad thing is, like, these like performances like Game 7 and like I think it was Game 5 in the last series, the Nuggets are capable of doing that. Like, I'm agreeing with you guys. Like, the role players and the others, like, whatever, Murray, we don't have to call Murray a role player. He's the second best player on the team. And then the role players extended, like, they are capable of doing this and doing what they did in Game 7 and Game 5 of last series. They just don't a lot of the time. So right. It's just aggravating that you just can't bank. And it's not like, oh, well, there's always at least two of the guys showing up and maybe they just swap which two guys it is, just they take turn alternating. No, there are a plethora of times in this regular season and in playoffs last year where nobody else showed up. It was literally just Jokic and like not one other guy was contributing. So, and that's the frustrating nature of the Nuggets. They are capable of doing that, but they are capable of giving good performance as well. So,
just real quick, FBCA is giving you a little pushback, and I can't totally disagree. I don't know if I totally agree, but I don't disagree. He says, nah, Gordon is second best player on the team, Scap.
I mean, I guess I would maybe agree. Gordon has been the second best. He has been the second best player to maybe even for the whole playoffs this point. Although Murray had a massive game, like the 40-point game Murray had was a huge game. So you know Murray kind of won that game by himself. But Gordon, of course, he had that game winner, against the Clippers too. So you could say he won a game too. So, yeah, I mean, I'd say Gordon, yeah. And unfortunately, Gordon has been hurt a lot of the season. He played only about half the year this year, and he still is not totally right. He's got a myriad of lower body injuries going on right now. But what I meant to say is Murray, in theory, is the second best player on this team. Is kind of what I meant there.
I think we can wrap it up and safely agree on that Gordon is more consistent.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If Gordon is on the floor and not hurt and is actually playing, Gordon is the most consistently reliable player.
Yes.
Of basically the whole team.
Right.
Because you don't know what you're getting from any single player other than Jokic.
Right.
On the whole team, aside from Gordon, is the most consistently reliable player. So yeah, that's a fair point. What does Karthik Shankar have to say, Gary?
Scap has been saying all year long, Jokic MVP. Yep, I second that.
I have been saying it, and I have been saying it all year, but not at the beginning of the year. At the beginning of the year, I suggested in my prognostication video in September and October before the season began, I speculated that the Thunder would easily win the championship this year, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would be the league MVP because I thought they would have a historical season, and I thought there would be some inherent Jokic fatigue. But then once we got into the season and Nikola Jokic started doing what Nikola Jokic was doing, I thought that it was going to be an absolute joke and a travesty, a crime for Nikola Jokic to not be the MVP. So then I got on that narrative early on that as great as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, and I hate that it becomes an anti-Shai narrative for some reason. Like, I'm a Shai hater. I'm not. But it's just Nikola Jokic is just a lot better than him, and he's a lot better than everybody else. So it's literally nothing negative, or it's not hating against Shai. I'm just trying to talk this guy up because I think Jokic has already gotten cheated out of one MVP in 23, and I didn't want to see him cheated out of a second one in a 3-year span. So that's why I've been on it, and I have been beating that drum all year, Karthik Shankar. You are right. So thank you for pointing that out, and thank you for supporting me here on Scap Live After Dark.
Emmanuel Hosky with a 10-piece. I'm a 1 Jordan, 2 Rip Hamilton, 3 Russell Westbrook fan. Been watching you for years. Agree with everything you ever made. Interested in your insight on starting my own show because I hate LeBron in the NBA. Will pay.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, Emmanuel, thank you for watching for years. I appreciate that. And it's that's an eclectic group of players there. Jordan, Rip Hamilton, and then Ross. That's
Is he a Wizards fan? Because those guys were all in Washington.
That's fair.
Emmanuel, let us know in the chat. Are you a Wizards fan?
That's a good point. But none of those guys are known for being Wizards, though. Jordan, of course, known for being a Bull. Rip Hamilton, known for being a Piston. And Russell Westbrook, known for being a Thunder. And then whatever the journeyman that he's been in the back half here. So wait, now I'm confused here. Emmanuel wants to start his own anti-LeBron show. Is that kind of what the question is?
It appears that way.
Well, Emmanuel, if you start your own LeBron show, I'd be interested to see that, your own anti-LeBron show, and you could maybe have me on for as a guest maybe from time to time. I would maybe come on as like a little guest featurette spot maybe on your anti-LeBron show. So yeah, keep me posted.
All right, here's an interesting one. John Ratcliffe with a 2-piece. Prime Shaq versus Prime Jokic. Who are you building around?
I mean, honestly, quite frankly, I take a Prime Nikola Jokic. Just because Nikola Jokic again is just more of a floor riser, and we haven't even seen Nikola Jokic with a solid complementary amount of supporting players to see what he can actually do. Shaquille O'Neal, and this is no knock on Shaq. I think he's top 15 all time, maybe as high as top 12. I do not have him in my top 10. I have Hakeem Olajuwon above Shaquille O'Neal. Absolutely, I do, because Hakeem Olajuwon won a championship with Otis Thorpe as his second best player on one, and then Clyde Drexler for his second one. But when you look at Shaquille O'Neal, he had Kobe Bryant for 8 years. And look, Kobe wasn't prime Kobe for all 8, but for the last 5 years, Kobe Bryant was Kobe Bryant. So Shaq won 3 of his 4 titles with that. He played with Penny Hardaway. We talked about Penny last night. Penny was first team All-NBA at the 2-guard spot while Shaq was playing with him. Then Shaq went and played with ascending Dwayne Wade, who was ready to step into him being first team All-NBA too. Then Shaq played, of course, further at the near the end of his career, but he played with MVP LeBron. He played with MVP Steve Nash. He played with the big 3 Boston Celtics. Like, Shaquille O'Neal played with as great a players as any player ever has played with, and he only has 4 titles. Like, what if you gave Hakeem Olajuwon prime Kobe Bryant for 5 years, prime Dwayne Wade for 2 years? Like, Hakeem Olajuwon would have more than 2. And what if you gave Nikola Jokic Kobe Bryant level replacement player for 5 years? Who is the closest Kobe Bryant level replacement in today's NBA? Let me think. Who's a 2-guard that is absolute butter from the mid-range, that is a killer scorer capable of leading the league in scoring, and that plays both ends at a high level, is also a great defender? Who might that be? Oh, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Let's give Nikola Jokic SGA for 5 years and see how many more championships he would have. So don't come at me now in these comments and say, oh, Shaq has 4 rings and Jokic has 1. Yeah, that's because of the players that Shaq was blessed enough to play with, compared to Nikola Jokic playing with Jamal Murray as his second best player for his whole career. So, and still Jokic somehow has a championship. Like, so me personally, I'm taking, because look, Shaq was pretty good at defense. He was first team All-NBA maybe twice at defense. I think he probably made 4 All-NBA defensive selections or less, maybe 3 or 4. But Shaq isn't elite enough on defense for me to overlook everything that Nikola Jokic does from a scoring standpoint, and also from an assist and a facilitation standpoint in rising the other players around him more, in my estimation, than Shaq.
All right. Nixo with a 5-piece. Thank you for that. Every time I watch the Nuggets, they lose. I have literally never seen them win in 1 year. Guess what I did not do today? You guys can thank me.
Nixo, thank you very much for your contribution here. And thank you very much for not watching the Nuggets tonight. Please do not watch them for the rest of their playoff run. Just go ahead and check the box score afterwards, or come on to Scap Live After Dark. I will take you through and break down what happened in the aftermath of any games they win for the rest of their run here. Please just keep the TV or your phone or your tablet or your computer off. Don't watch. Just check the score intermittently throughout. Thank you for doing so in advance.
Carlo back with an 8-piece. Thank you for that. And this is something I have actually thought about a lot myself, being a Spurs and Tim Duncan fan. And I agree with this premise. Scap, I think Jokic is the Duncan of this generation. I have actually said that exact same thing. Only difference is he doesn't have a big 3 and a legendary coach. Also, who do you think is better?
Carlo, many thanks. Carlo is a repeat member here in Scap Live After Dark area as well. So many thanks for being here again tonight for me. I appreciate you. And great question. To me, look, you're not gonna trip me up though with this question. I mentioned it last night. Tim Duncan is on my Mount Rushmore all time. I've got because he is so elite defensively too. I think his scoring obviously does not look like Jokic because it was a far different time, a far different era. And it was just structured differently around him. He certainly isn't the full court offensive player Jokic is. in the way Jokic is able to involve all of the teammates and stuff. But Duncan, I just got done saying Shaq wasn't good enough. He wasn't better enough at defense than Jokic to be a differentiator for me to put Shaq over Jokic. But Duncan, though, is one of the best defenders ever. And I really do. I love Nikola Jokic, and I think he's an underrated defender, actually. I think he gets more shit defensively than he deserves or than he should. But Duncan is one of the great two-way players ever, in my opinion. So it's going to take a lot for me to get – I can get Jokic into my top 5 probably, or maybe right on the cusp of top 5. I've got him probably top 12 or 13 already right now. And if he gets another title or 2 with this supporting cast, he's definitely gonna crawl up my top 10. But it's gonna take more. It's gonna take something unthinkable for me to get him into my Mount Rushmore over the guys that are there, because they're such good two-way players. And that's not to say that I think Jokic is lousy at defense like other people tell me he is all the time, because I think he is an undervalued defender. And I think he's way better, but not like on an elite level, like a Tim Duncan. But great question though. And thank you again for your continued support.
Adam Francisco with a 2-piece. Thank you, sir. Can you say you're famous as?
Adam, thank you very much. I've been saying it a couple times here tonight. I don't typically show my face when I say it because my face looks pretty weird when I say it. But for you and for your donation, thank you for that. I will do it. So as you see, I got some teeth gritting going on there, because that's just how it has to happen ultimately, Adam. But thanks, and you can keep an eye out on videos coming up, because I typically try to drop at least one ass a video or one a video if I can.
Which is the perfect segue to our friend E.
Look at E's avatar. He has changed his avatar to a weird looking face of me. E, awesome. What do you have to say, E? Look, Gary, what's he got?
This is your face, Scap, after Jokic airballs the game winner.
E, thank you. Or LeBron. Maybe this is LeBron. It could be the LeBron burner that we speculated earlier. So many thanks for your continued contribution to the Scap Live After Dark, despite you're really not contributing in terms of the quality of these comments, because they continue to be absolutely lousy. But thank you for at least donating to us here on the Scap Live After Dark.
And how's the Wi-Fi in Cancun, LeBron? Stephanie 2790. OKC, thank you for that. OKC fans of all people, with the audacity of chanting free throw merchant to Jokic, the real MVP. This game was fire. By the way, I love these lives, Scap.
Stephanie, welcome to the Scap Live After Dark. Thank you very much for your generous contribution. And you're right. It is the epitome of just tone deafness, hypocritical takes by the OKC fans who have been defending Shai Gilgeous-Alexander all year for his alleged foul baiting and being the free throw merchant that he's been all year, to now turn around and say Jokic is some kind of a free throw merchant. Jokic was getting absolutely pounded in this game. Jokic gets beat around a lot, honestly, and he takes like a physical bruising, because the guy he's just so big and physical. So he, I think like Shaq, we talked about Shaq, like I think people get away with it a little bit more with the physicality. And he was, look, this team is very well positioned to defend him. They have 2 elite net rated defender big men in Hartenstein and Chet, and these pesky little guards that they were throwing in were always lurking around in the back end on kind of late doubles, just to kind of, slap at him and try to strip him. So, I think, 13 free throws for Jokic tonight. They were in the bonus. They were in the penalty pretty early on in the fourth quarter. So, it is what it is. I certainly didn't think it was lopsided. And I would point out, I have not been critical of Shai's free throw shooting all year. I'm really only critical of the Lakers free throws, because they have shot like 1,000 more, I think maybe 1,500 more than any other team league wide over the last 3 years. So they're really the only team that I will ever call foul on, so to speak, on some kind of a crazy free throw discrepancy. But Stephanie, great point. And again, thank you and welcome to Scap Live After Dark.
Will in with a 5-piece. Thank you, sir. Would you consider this current version's Warriors as we believe 2.0?
I don't know. I don't know that I would go to that level, Will N, but thank you. Great question. We'll see. I think the Warriors were it was an odd setup for the first round matchup with the Houston Rockets, because I think it's odd that you see an overwhelming 7 seed favorite over a 2 seed. But I thought that they honestly kind of did a disservice by letting Houston take them to a game 7. I thought that should have been a 6-game series. That's kind of what I was thinking all series long. And now look, they get Minnesota. I think they will not win this series. I like Minnesota to win this series, maybe kind of convincingly too, but this is going to be a fun old school series. I think both these teams really like to defend. These are going to be low scoring games, in my opinion. I think we could get a couple games in the 90s where the winner is in the 90s. So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing a nice defensive style series, Will N, and I'll obviously be tuning in tomorrow night. Maybe, what is this, Gary? Is this the 4th consecutive day of Scap Live After Dark now, I think? I think it's the 4th.
Sorry, my mic was muted. I'm sorry. Yes, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 4 nights in a row.
Okay, so maybe I'll have to come back on tomorrow night. We'll see how things go, schedule permitting, obviously. But I'll be watching. I think I probably like Minnesota in. I can maybe see them. I could see them winning in 6 as well. Even though game 6 would be in Golden State, so maybe, I don't know. Maybe it would take 7, or Minnesota will just have to do it in 5. But regardless, I like Minnesota. I think they open 6.5 or 7-point favorites for tomorrow's game. But Will, and thanks again for your continued support of Scap Live here.
All right, our friend, the Humping Badger with a 5-piece. Is Jason Tatum on timeout after that abomination of a choke job earlier?
Yeah, Jason Tatum, as we know, is no stranger to pooping himself and soiling his little panties in playoff time whenever it really matters most. He's been really making a career of it. He did find a way through it to get that championship last year, but of course we know that the Celtics were just too big to fail last year. And Jaylen Brown was fantastic. He was the MVP of not only just the East Finals, but the NBA Finals round as well. Tonight, Jason Tatum, he had 23 points in 44 minutes on 7 of 23 shooting, 4 of 15 from the 3-point line. And he was a team worst for the starters, at least, -5 when he was on the floor. So, we'll see. This is just Jason Tatum's MO, Humping Badger. This is what I've pretty much come to expect from him. And it's sad to see it. I'm sorry to see it, because Tatum is a Kobe guy. He fancies himself a Kobe disciple of sorts. So, I hate to see it when he's just throwing up all over himself like he did tonight. But yeah, hopefully he probably is in need of a timeout, Humping Badger. So hopefully he gets that in between now and the start of game 2.
And Scap, would it be a problem for you to bring me on camera for 5-10 seconds?
Yes, I could probably do that. Hang on 1 second.
Humping Badger, I wanted to show you something. If he can bring me up. If not, I just wanted to show my Badger.
Let me see here.
Yep, here I am. Can you see me, Humping Badger? Everyone, I'm not AI. I'm real. Here we go.
There's a Badger, Humping Badger.
So Humping Badger's my brother. So
Humping Badger, there you go. There you see moderator Gary's. And we don't know if moderator Gary's Badger is indeed a Humping Badger or not, but he does have a Badger nonetheless there.
He has never tried to hump me. I can confirm that. Thank you for the 5-piece, Humping Badger. All right. Mile High Evening News with a 5-piece. Glad you stayed up late, Scap. As a lifelong Nuggets fan, I bet money against them to soften the blow if they lose. I lost money tonight, and I've never been happier.
Mile High Evening News, awesome from you. I do that all the time. I'm an avid gambler myself. And I will do that where I'll bet against what I'm rooting for. So at least like I'll have some kind of monetary gain to cushion my blow. So and then if I lose the money, obviously I'd be rooting to lose the money. We were speaking about money and things that would take me. I was talking to someone earlier, and if I had like a future bet on LeBron James, if I had bet the Lakers to win the championship this year, and I stood to win, I think I said $20,000. I would rather not get the 20,000 and have the Lakers lose. So, if I had, I'm in a market where I cannot bet right now, but if I had the ability, I probably would have bet against the Nuggets tonight too. So thank you for getting that done for me instead, Mile High Evening News. And thank you still, despite the fact you lost money, thank you for sponsoring us here on SCAP Live After Dark. I appreciate that. And Gary, we have John back in. John Ratcliffe, who is he is an active member here in SCAP Live After Dark. Thank you, John, for your continued sponsorships and contributions. Gary, what does John have to say?
This is a fun one. Thank you for this question, John. Stockton, Jordan, Duncan, Garnett, Shaq. I can already tell you right now, no one's beating that team. Versus Luka, ASG, Tatum, Giannis, and Jokic. How badly does the 90s team absolutely crush these soft clowns? John, you made a mistake putting Jokic and Giannis on this softness of the 90s team. But
yeah, John. I don't like the Jokic shade here, but
right.
No, looking over that team, the Stockton, MJ, Duncan, Garnett. I mean, Shaq. I mean, again, I'm not the highest on Shaq. I thought he had a pretty lousy work ethic overall, and he was, I think, a lazy defender a lot of the times. He played good defense, some would say elite defense on those Laker championship runs, but by and large, I think Shaq kind of actually underachieved throughout the course of his career. But those other guys, by and large, dogs defensively. I mean, especially Jordan, Duncan, and Garnett. Stockton was like the epitome of a little nuisance as well. He was a quality defender as well. But I mean, Duncan and Garnett, like two of the, 10 best defensive players of all time, along with Jordan, who is one of the 5 best perimeter defenders probably ever. So, John, just simply put, yes, that 90s team would obliterate that this modern current day team that you just put together there.
Raider with a 2-piece. Very interesting question, but I think this is very, very unlikely. And let me create another variation along with this. If Jokic 3-peats, where would you rank him? That's next to impossible. But let me add a variation. If Jokic ends up with 3 rings, where would you rank him?
Yeah, if Jokic 3-peats, I don't even think they're going to win this year. But if he 3-peats with this team in this Western Conference against this field, and then obviously like the Celtics and whatever looming in the East, that would be. I said earlier it would take something extraordinary, something unforeseen for him to get on my Mount Rushmore. If Jokic 3-peats, he'd be on my Mount Rushmore. I would put Jokic in my top 4. If he 3-peats right now. With that said, if he just ends his career with 3, he would be right around 5. I think he would be very close to 5th all time on my list, somewhere like 5 or 6. So really not that much of a difference if he just gets the 3 versus if he 3-peats. But it's hard when you get in. The better you get, the higher you get on the list, the harder it is to move up on it. So that's why there's not that much of a variance of like where he would be with a 3-peat versus just where he would be if he ends with 3. But just if he ends with 3 with this as his core, like if he doesn't bring anything else in and Jamal Murray ultimately ends up being, or Aaron Gordon, if we were talking about maybe Aaron Gordon is the second best player, if those guys are like his 2 and 3 options and Jokic ends with 3 rings, he would be near top 5 in my estimation.
Shay with a 5-piece. Thank you for that. Jokic could have played in any era, unlike LeBron. If the Spurs had won Game 6 of the 2013 NBA Finals, they would not have repeated in 2014. So Duncan 5-0 versus 5-1.
Well, 6-0 though. I think it would be though, right?
Well, I guess what he's saying is he doesn't think they would have won in 14 if they had won in 13, which I don't know if they would have repeated. They may have. They were extra hungry in 2014 for revenge.
True.
But they still may have repeated.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, I think but Shay, thank you for the contribution to Scout Live After Dark. And I think Jokic could have played in any era. He obviously, the numbers would not look the same. Jokic would not be doing a 30-point triple-double on like 56% shooting and 45 or 41% from the three-point line in regular seasons back in other eras. But I mean, if you put him in the 60s or the 70s or the 80s, even, he would be. Like, if you dumped Jokic in the 60s, 70s, or 80s, he would be probably doing what he's doing right now. If you put him in the 90s or the early 2000s, he would be more like probably like a 22, 11, and 6 kind of guy, I think, which he still would have been one of the elite all-timers that came out of that era. So yes, I do believe that Jokic could transcend eras. He's just making a mockery of this pathetic era that we're in right now. He's just really showcasing how putrid the defense by and large is in it. Although he's not playing bad defensive teams in the first 2 rounds of these series, and he's still playing great basketball. So that shows you just how great this guy is. And yeah, to the Duncan point, I think Duncan, they obviously should have won that 2013 title. Who knows what would have happened to 2014? That's just one of the many what ifs we can get into. I do love the what ifs. So maybe in some future time when we don't have other games to talk about, maybe we can do like some live streams around like some what if conversations. Maybe this could be one of them that we could squirrel away to talk about. But Shay, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. We've got One Fluffy Fluff. That's a nice, I kind of like that handle by One Fluffy Fluff. So thank you for, sponsoring us here at Scap Live After Dark. And thank you for that nice little handle of yours there.
Yes. Hey, Scap, first, love your videos, but just wanted your opinion. 2020 ring was Mickey. Does that also make the 2-3-1 comebacks less? Just curious, to be honest.
I'm not sure. So the 3-1, the Nuggets come. I know the Nuggets came back from that 3-1.
I think they're asking about LeBron, because the 3-1-16 when he came back 3-1. Was there another one where he came back?
I don't know. The way I'm reading this is, does that also make the 2-3? I think he means the Nuggets 3-1 comebacks in 2020. I think.
Did they come back? They didn't come back 3-1 twice, did they?
That's what I'm checking. I know they did against the Clippers. They came back from 3-1.
They lost to the Lakers in round 2, didn't they?
No, that was the Western Conference Final. They lost to the Lakers 4-1 in the Western Conference Finals that year. So the Nuggets actually beat the Jazz in round 1 in 7, and they did. They won 3 straight. So they won 3 straight in the first round to come back. And then they beat the Clippers in 7 in round 2. Okay. And yes, they also, so that is what he meant. He meant the Nuggets winning 2-3-1, coming back 3-1 in back-to-back series. Well, yeah, it makes it mean less. Of course, like, I don't value anything that happened in that 2020. So the Nuggets went to the Western Conference Finals that year. Obviously, they were very, very young and not ready for the stage of the West Finals against that Laker team it wasn't just LeBron. Anthony Davis was the best player for the Lakers that year in the regular season. I think he was the best player in the playoffs that year. They had LeBron as a second option to Anthony Davis, which is pretty elite when you have prime LeBron as a 2 option. And then you've got, other good pieces on that team, great role players. It was a really good defensive team. And Jokic was like 23 or 24 at the time. Same with Jamal Murray, very young. The whole core was young. But what they did in the first 2 rounds, yes, I don't really care about the 2020 run. So the Nuggets is what I'm saying, that the Western Conference Finals run, like, I don't really care about anything that happened in that bubble. It was a very strange, odd kind of situation in a setting. And yes, I disparage the 2020 ring for LeBron often. And like, I'm not, and you don't hear me sitting up here like talking favorably about the Nuggets coming back from 2-3-1 holes in that bubble either. Like, I quite frankly don't care. Like, I kind of try to just make believe like the 2020 didn't really happen, because it probably shouldn't have happened. Like, when the NBA suspended the season for 3 months, it should have just been a cancellation of the season. So I don't really think it should have even ever happened, but it is what it is. Adam Silver saw an opportunity to get LeBron number 4, and he took it. So it is, as they say, what it is. GGT999 is back. A regular contributor as well here on Scap Live After Dark. So many thanks. Gary, what does GGT99 have to say?
Scap, who do you think is the third best point guard in NBA history? I personally have Isaiah Thomas.
It's a good question. It depends on what you value for point guards. Like, I guess it's kind of in the eye of the beholder. And also, it gets tricky as well, GGT999, because, like, who are we classifying or designating as a 2 versus a 1? Like, there's some gray area inherently with who is what. I think of Jerry West as a 2, but some people would think he's more of a 1. So there's that bit of confusion, I think. And then, so Jerry West would be in the mix. I think Jerry West I think of him as a 2. So he's like the third best 2 ever behind Jordan and Kobe. If we put him at 1, he would probably maybe be my answer. I think Isaiah Thomas, you can make a case. I mean, John Stockton, you could say, is the ultimate, depending on what you want from your 1. John Stockton, you can make a case, is the quintessential point. The all-time leader in NBA history in both assists and steals. This guy led the league in assists like some absurd amount of times. I think 7 or 8 straight years he led the league in assists with crazy numbers, like 12, 13 assists a year on average from Stockton. He was a solid defender, a good knockdown three-point shooter. So I would give John Stockton some consideration as well in that. Of course, he didn't win, whereas Isaiah Thomas did win those 2 titles as the floor general of the Bad Boy Pistons. So I think you can say that Zeke is in the running too. Isaiah would be get in my mention as well. And then, of course, Oscar Robertson. He only won the 1 title, and he did it in 71 when he had the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as his running mate. And Kareem obviously was the best player actually on that team. So, you could say what you will, he never really won a title without like a great setup with Kareem. But, put a gun to my head and we're calling Jerry West not a point guard. I would probably say my answer would be Oscar Robertson. But Isaiah Thomas is somewhere. He's no slouch. He's somewhere in my top 5 for sure. So great question, GGT999.
But do you have him ranked over Ben Simmons, though?
Yes, I would definitively say that Isaiah Thomas would be above Ben Simmons on my all-time rank.
All right. Jason Price with a 5-piece. Thank you for that. Scap, you really think those 90s centers could keep Joker in front of them?
I mean, there was, look, the 90s, that was like a golden era of bigs. I mean, I'm not saying the pure, maybe we're looking at 5s different. I'm just saying the bigs, the 90s were a golden era for bigs in general. You could say maybe the best era in NBA history with the guys that were by and large filling out at either the 4 or 5 in the 90s. There's no doubt Jokic possesses a skill set that nobody had back then, and like nobody would have seen in the fact that he can step out. And I mean, look, the guy shot 41% from 3-point line in the regular season, and he shot a lot of them. He shot like over 5 a game, and he still shot 41%. And that was with a bunch of heave, like Hail Mary heaves. Like basically he ends every quarter throwing the ball at the rim from, 50 feet out. So he depreciates his average to some degree with those Hail Mary desperation end of quarter heaves. So he probably shot even higher than 41%. He's shooting at last check. I think going into tonight's game, he was shooting 45% from 3 in the playoffs. So there's no doubt that he possesses a skill set that no one would have seen back then because he could handle the ball too. He brings the ball up the floor. He's just a very, very skilled player. But then he's a bruiser that could go down there, absorb contact. He likes to play with his back to the basket too. He would have been the most skilled player, I think, of the bigs, other than maybe Hakeem Olajuwon, I would say, would maybe get the nod there out of those 90 guys. But what I'm saying is, while he would still be great, his numbers would still probably be better than mostly everybody else that was playing then. The numbers wouldn't be as outlandish looking as they are now. So that was pretty much my only point, Jason Price. But I still think the Joker is running shop in any era. He's going to be a dominant force no matter when he plays. It just so happens he's in this really soft era that he finds himself in, and that's why he's destroying the NBA like few players ever have. Really, you can make a case nobody ever has destroyed the NBA from a statistical onslaught like Nikola Jokic has for the last 5 years, and it's because he's just so damn gifted, so damn skilled, and there's such little pushback defensively in this era, although he is playing two extraordinarily elite defensive teams in the playoffs right now, and the numbers still look crazy, and he's just going to play another one next round because no matter who comes out in Golden State or Minnesota, those are two great defensive teams too. But it just doesn't matter. Like, Jokic is just going to find a way to get his numbers. So great question though, Jason. And GGT999 is back in. Thank you very much. Gary, what does GGT999?
That's a very good question. I want to say something myself. Right before you jump in, Scat, let me throw in a comment real quick. How good would Mark Price be in today's NBA? First off, great question. I think Mark Price would be great in today's NBA. And I don't know if you guys saw it, but on Gil's Arena, that clown, Nick Young, had the audacity to try to make fun of Mark Price and say that he is better than Mark Price. Scat, would you say that Nick Young was better than Mark Price?
I would most certainly not say that Nick Young is better than Mark Price. That just one of the many ridiculous, hilarious comments coming out of Nick Young. Mark Price, look, like he played, like late 80s into like the mid 90 range. So he was kind of he was in the era of like stat depreciation once we crawled into like the mid 90 range. And for his, I'm trying to think, for his prime span of maybe, I don't know, like 7 or 8 years, the guy was like a 17-ish, 18 point per game and like 7 or 8 assists per game guy. So, if he had the kind of free-flowing capabilities and just the freedom to maneuver the court that the guys today have, there's no doubt. I've talked about this with other players, and the same would be applicable to Mark Price, that I think that his numbers and his statistics would be absolutely inflated per what we saw when he was playing, at his peak time.
I pulled his stats up. Would you like me to go over some?
Sure. And correct me if I believe he was around a 40% 3-point shooter at least for like the prime chunk of his career, but probably for his career as a whole. He's near 40% from three, right?
Let me see if I can find. I'm on his wiki page, and I don't know if that's right there. But what I have is he played from around 86 to 98, and he averaged 15.2 points per game, 2.6 rebounds, 6.7 assists, 4-time All-Star. All NBA first team in 1993. When was Nick Young sniffing an all NBA first team? 3-time all NBA third team. Has Nick Young ever made an NBA third team? Two-time NBA 3-point contest champion. So those are just some stats for you to go by. I don't think Nick Young sniffed any of that.
Yeah, and Gary, I actually looked it up too here while you were talking. In a 7-year span from 89 to 95, in his age 24 to 30 seasons, 18 points per game, 8 assists per game, 48% shooting from the field, and 41% from the 3-point line. So there you have it. Nick Young was never sniffing any of that. And quite frankly, to do that at the time that he was doing it, he would obviously, if you put him in today's day and age in the NBA, yeah, this guy would probably look like, he would probably look like Steve Nash looked when he was playing. Although Steve Nash was in a much harder defensive era too than we're in right now. But yeah, great question, GGT999, and thank you again for your support.
NBA was better in the 80s and 90s. $2. Good, great handle name there. Thank you for the 2-piece. Jason Whitlock gave Le Syringe. Le Syringe. I think we know what LeBron's doing with that syringe. Le Syringe handlers' names. Deep dive gave. Do you understand the question there?
Not totally, but yeah, I've talked on Whitlock before about the steroid allegations swirling around LeBron James. I've done a couple pieces on it actually on my channel, and yeah, I think actually I have been meaning to do a deeper dive, a protracted look into that. So maybe NBA was better in the 80s or 90s. Keep an eye out for that. I don't think I'm going to get to it in the playoffs, but when the playoffs end, yeah, I think maybe I can do a full expose on that. So yeah, stay tuned for that in sometime in this off season for sure.
All right. RGN Cal 4 with a 2-piece. Thank you for that. Love content. I think everyone knew Chet was missing.
Yeah, missing probably the free throws is what he's referring to. Yeah, I don't think Chet is not a poor free throw shooter though, and Chet hit a couple of outside shots tonight too. He has a pretty good stroke, but yeah, when he missed the front end of the one, like yeah, it kind of you could kind of smell that second one was coming off. Like the look in his face did not look good altogether. Whenever that first one caromed off the rim, so I really thought the Nuggets were gonna. They didn't have a timeout. I thought that they were gonna maybe slow it up, get into the offense because there was about 11 seconds left, I believe, when he missed that second one. When he missed both, but when he missed the second one and it was rebounded by, I believe it was Christian Brown that came in to get that rebound, and they pushed it. I thought that they were going to maybe slow, get into a set, give it to Jokic, and kind of take the last shot. Didn't go down like that. They had the advantage on the break. Aaron Gordon got the look. They only needed one. They only needed two, but he took the three, and thank goodness it went down. There was still about 3.5 seconds left, so it maybe could have came back to bite them, leaving a little too much time for the Thunder, but the Thunder had no timeouts either. So, things often, as they say, happen for a reason. And Chet was the key to start that whole thing off, though, to RGN Cal's point, that with those, not just one, but two pretty choke-worthy free throw misses. Just one of the many things that Oklahoma City will look back on in the aftermath of this loss and really, really question how things got away from them. It was a multitude of things, but ultimately the final nail in the coffin for them and their chances of winning tonight were ultimately those two misses by Chet. RGN Cal, thank you very much for supporting me here on the SCAP Live After Dark. And GGT999 is back in, Gary.
Yes, with a 5-piece. Thank you for that. And this is a loaded question this is a video you can make one day. And I think you've brainstormed this and you're still actually working on it. Scap, what is your all-time rank for the traffic cone choke artist, and who is the person above him and behind him? Great question.
That is a great question, GGT999, and many thanks to you for delivering it, along with yet again another generous donation by you. I've been teasing it. Everyone on here probably is like, Scap, quit talking about it and put it out. I have a top 10 video that I've been meaning to put out for about a year.
Right.
And eventually I'm going to put that video out in which I will have my full breakdown. But it has been shifting. When I started doing this, I've been always a proponent against LeBron. I've been an outspoken advocate against the narrative out there that he's the GOAT or the second best player. But even as I'd say prolific as I have been in my past, even before starting the channel here, in speaking out against LeBron, I always had him maybe around 7 or 8 all time until I started this channel. Then when I started really digging into other eras that, I quite frankly wasn't alive to see, or that I was too young to remember. Once I finally did that, because I had to, being on this channel and fancying myself a bit of a basketball analyst. And the more I've studied, the more I've researched, and the more I've learned, the lower and lower LeBron James seems to get. So at this point, I think I would probably try to make a case for him to maybe be outside of the top 10, just outside, or maybe just inside. So maybe 10th-ish is potentially where I might possibly have him at this point. And I'd say that maybe Steph Curry, or maybe Jerry West, or maybe Shaquille O'Neal, or maybe Nikola Jokic here by the end of this playoff run. One of those players is like right behind him at this point. And, I won't get completely into who's above him, but I do have Will Chamberlain is certainly one of the players that I have that didn't win a high level of championships like LeBron, that was under 500 in the finals like LeBron, but Will Chamberlain was just so much more dominant than LeBron in my estimation, the most dominant individual player and statistical force in NBA history. So I do have Will Chamberlain there. He's probably not as high as other people have Wilt. I have him a little bit lower in my top 10, but he is above LeBron. And possibly, I guess he might be one of the ones that is just above him there. But great question, GGT999, and probably all of these questions will be answered at some point when I finally get that top 10 list out.
Yes, because I know you've been fluctuating with that for a while. Yeah. All right, Enrico with a 5-piece. Thank you, sir. Great question. I've often thought about this myself. NBA history may look a little altered. What if Len Bias never died?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of speculation, a lot of what ifs. That's what I said. I really like what ifs a lot. And I think there's just a vast amount of these what ifs throughout the course of NBA history. Some of my favorites are like, what if, because I'm such a big Kobe fan, like, what if Kobe didn't get traded from Charlotte on draft night? What if Kobe didn't rupture his Achilles? There's some good what ifs surrounding Kobe. There's what if Michael Jordan didn't retire for 2 years? What if, of course, Len Bias didn't die? So this is just one of the many, many good what ifs. Of course, we know Len Bias was a superior talent. Really just an unspeakable tragedy, the way that whole thing went down. And I think it could have intrinsically altered the course of the trajectory of the NBA history on a couple fronts. So unfortunately, we cannot really know the full extent of that. Maybe, again, one day when I have some more time, either on one of these or maybe in a video, maybe I'll start a series of what ifs, and I can really dig in appropriately to the whole Len Bias situation and break down the tragic events that was the life and times and the untimely demise of Len Bias. But good question. And like I said, Enrico, I really do love those what ifs. So something I would like to maybe sink my teeth into sometime in the future. So
what if CP3 gets traded to the Lakers in 2012?
Right. Well, and that's one of the, I mentioned Kobe, like that's one of my Kobe what if, like, because I think like what if, I think probably like Kobe at the very least, I don't know, we can talk about in the what ifs, the longer discussion that I would have one day on, like, what if they would have won a championship, maybe, who knows? Yeah. Would that then mean that the Miami Heat would have never won a championship, or would have won even less than what they did? Probably. But I think the one thing we definitively would know, that I could say isn't even a what if or speculation, if CP3, if that trade was not vetoed, Kobe would have never ruptured his Achilles. So Kobe would have gotten more healthy years. He would have scored more points. Right. I think maybe, again, more what if, but I think Kobe would have been the all-time leading scorer in NBA history. So, but again, we'll never know, but it's another, just like with Len Bias and there are other good injury what ifs, like what if T-Mac was healthy more? We talked about Penny Hardaway a couple times last night. He's another one. Bill Walton, again, is one of my big what ifs. Grant Hill. I mean, there's just so many what ifs floating around the NBA landscape. So maybe one day, when I have a little bit more time that I don't have right now, we could get into that. But
I like Kobe's comment. I think it was Kobe who said this. He said, "It's a good thing Allen Iverson is not 6'6".
Another good what if.
Imagine that.
Another good Kobe what if was, what if Shaq had a good work ethic that he mentioned multiple times. Like, what if Shaq had the work ethic that Kobe had? Shaq probably would be the GOAT. But there's plenty of what ifs circulating around out there, Gary. And there's certainly some things that I would like to dig into in more detail moving forward when we have more time. But that is not right now, because we are in the heart of NBA playoff time, ladies and gentlemen, in the SCAP Live After Dark area. And I was not planning on coming on tonight, but I did after the insane events that transpired in that Nuggets Thunder game. I had no choice. The Denver Nuggets forced my hand, made me crawl on here. Like I said, I was working on a Boston Celtics video, which I think I'm just going to finish that one off here in a couple and get that out. Then I will get into the lab and start tinkering and put out my Denver Nuggets reaction video as well. So that one's going to be coming out probably in a couple hours probably. And then this was, of course, my fifth consecutive day in the SCAP After Dark area. So many thanks to all of you for coming out here tonight and joining me. I was just getting ready to sign off when GGT999 came in with another super chat. So let's see real quick here what GGT999 has to say for 5. Thank you, GGT999. You have been very, very active here tonight in the SCAP Live After Dark. So I will certainly like to answer another question for you. Gary, what's he got for us?
What if, another what if, Kevin Durant signed to Boston in the 2016 offseason, they would have still have got Tatum and Brown and 30-year-old Al Horford with IT.
Yeah, that's another great what if, GGT999. Lots of good what ifs. There are several good what ifs surrounding Kevin Durant. I think, what if he stayed in Oklahoma City, or what if he went to New York instead of going to Golden State? So, what if he went to Boston? That's fair. Would they though? Would they still have gotten Tatum and Brown? I'm not sure the time frame on exact. I guess they were. That they probably would still have those players. So, GGT999. I think we could say what if? What if they did those things? I think Boston probably would have had a championship before they got it last year. Finally, in the Tatum and Brown era, I think. If you're talking about Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown on one team, like that is undeniably going to be fetching an NBA championship, maybe multiple NBA championships. And maybe we look at Kevin Durant a little bit differently, because right now we look at him as a bit of a snake, a super teamer, a guy that like kind of stole 2 hollow rings that no one really credits or cares about him having. So if he went somewhere else afterwards and got a couple titles, maybe but of course he wouldn't have joined Golden State at all. Of course, if he went there in 16, so he wouldn't have had those 2 anyway. But if he got rings in a different fashion, where even as great as Tatum is and as great as he's become, if KD was there in his prime while Tatum was ascending, KD would have been seen as the guy, the leader. So if KD goes there and gets 2 rings with Boston, maybe they're looked at differently than those Golden State rings. Maybe KD is thought of a little bit more highly, I think, because KD's resume is great. His on-court resume, his on-court skill set, the eye test, like he passes a lot of things. He checks a lot of boxes, so to speak. So really, it's just the fact that he never really won a legitimate championship ever in like 16, 17 years. So I think that would have been what if. GGT999. We would probably look at KD a little bit more favorably if he went there instead of Golden State.
Shay's back with another 2-piece. 1986 Celtics versus 2014 Spurs. Better passing team.
Great question, Shay, and thank you for coming back in with another donation to the SCAP Live After Dark. We appreciate you. 1986 Celtics versus 2014 Spurs. Definitely 2 of the best passing teams in NBA history. but I got to go with the 1986 Celtics. The 1986 Celtics, who are to me in the mix of like top 3 or 4 teams all time, single season teams all time. To me, the best passing team ever, that 86 Celtics team. I think they lost 2 home games all year, I want to say. And I think that was a team that had Walton as I think he was 6th man of the year that year. Obviously, Larry Bird was the league MVP, and they had at least 3 All-Stars, and I believe ultimately 5 players on that team in the Hall of Fame. So to me, the answer is ever so slimly, I give the margin to the 1986 Celtics, but great question, and thank you. And we have NBA was better in the 80s and 90s back for another donation. So thank you very much. Gary, what does NBA was better in the 80s and 90s have to say with this one?
All right. LeBron Bronze is not top 10. PD's collusion clutch to spread, bought, and paid for narrative stat padding. NBA handed him Love and AD. No greater fraud.
Yeah, I agree 100%. NBA was better in the 80s and 90s, and I like that new little gloss you've just coined, LeBerry Bronze. I like that. I like that one a lot. That's clever on a number of levels. I might have to write that down and retain that for my future steroid video that I'll put out in the offseason sometime. But yeah, you just laid it out for to some degree of why I think the more the time it goes along, the more I review and recap what he did, as well as factoring in what other guys in previous eras that I've done more digging into and finding more context of. I think that you can make a really strong case that I almost said Bronze. Why not? I will say LeBerry Bronze, that he is not a top 10 player. The stats, obviously, the totality of the resume, if you just look at it in a vacuum, of course, it looks like he's a top 10 player. But if you actually dig into the context and evaluate how he got the championships, what tactics he had to deploy to do it, and the era in which he accumulated all these stats, and potentially the banned substances he utilized along the way, I think you can make a pretty solid case that he is outside of that top 10. So great comment and great new gloss for LeBron. Thank you very much for that. And Ed Rock is in with a little sponsorship here for us at the Scap Live After Dark Lounge. So Gary, what does Ed Rock have?
Best team to never win a championship in the 90s. I say Utah Jazz. You got the Blazers, you got the Suns, you got the Knicks, you got the Pacers, you got the Jazz. A lot of great teams. The Orlando Magic with Shaq and Penny.
Yeah, it's hard. That Phoenix Suns team was really good. The team that won, that Barkley, I believe, I think he was the MVP that year in '93. That went in, and Jordan. That was just a crazy series. There was that one overtime game in that series, and that team was so good. And it's hard, but Utah was also, I mean, they were fantastic for like a decade plus. With on paper, if you're not looking at championships or factoring in winning or anything, like John Stockton's a top 5 point guard ever. Like Karl Malone's a top 5 power forward ever. I mean, Karl Malone's stats for the 20 years that he played are pretty much mind-boggling when you look into it. And very well coached with Jerry Sloan. Ed Rock, I wish I could be a little more, at least I was going to say argumentative, but just maybe at least promote a little bit more of a conversation on this one. But I got to agree with you. I think I likely would say the Jazz, and plus the Jazz lost back-to-back years to the Bulls, and they gave the Bulls everything they could have asked for in the 98 round. The game 7 would have been played in Utah. That had Utah won that game 6, that game would have been played in Utah, game 7, and Scottie Pippen's back was unraveling. He was ailing. He could barely even walk, it looked like, throughout that game 6. And then, of course, the Jazz were up late throughout the course of that game, but Jordan was hell. Jordan was just Jordan, right? The layup, which cut the lead to 1, he then comes back, strips Karl Malone at the other end, and then, of course, we all know the rest. It is history, as they say. The crossover, the pull up, and the indelible, poignant, the never to be forgotten, one of the to me, maybe the greatest individual moment in NBA history. The Jordan hit the walk-off jumper in Game 6. But it took all of that heroics and all of that legendary stuff by Michael Jordan to somehow vanquish that Utah Jazz team. So, yeah, I would probably say the Jazz are the best team to not win the championship in the 90s there.
And you know who else pushed the Bulls even further than the Jazz?
The Pacers.
The Pacers, because they took them to 7 games, and that game went to overtime, didn't it? Game 7?
I think so. And Miller missed a shot like near the end. Like that was probably that Pacers series. That was the Eastern Conference Final series.
Yep, 98.
Went 7 games, and that was probably honestly the Knicks took them. The Knicks pushed them a couple times in the earlier stages of the 90s. But right. I would say from my money, the hardest series that the Jordan Bulls ever encountered was that 7-game series against the Indiana Pacers. The hardest series that they encountered in their championship in the six championship runs, because obviously the Pistons beat the hell out of them early on before they started winning championships. But during the time they were winning titles, that was probably the team that really did push them the most was that Pacers team. So yeah, good point, moderator Gary, and good question, Ed Rock. We now have what is this, E-Slum, or how would you say it? So thank you. Thank you for the contribution, Gary. What do we have here from E-Slum?
Who do you think would have a bigger impact in today's game, Jordan or Kobe?
Well, that's an impossible question for me to answer, because these are like 1A and 1B to me. I mean, I obviously have Jordan as the GOAT, but I have Kobe as number 2 all time, and I think Kobe got a lot closer to Michael Jordan, honestly, than anybody would care to admit. I think, quite frankly, I think Kobe got as close as anybody could. If Kobe got that 3rd straight, if he ended up winning that one that he lost in the finals to Boston, obviously in 08, and then they won the 2 on the back end. Then he lost to the Mavericks when he was going for the 3-peat on the back end of it. I think if Kobe 3-peat repeated, I would have probably had them just like number ones. It was really that close. I think Jordan is a better defender than Kobe, but Kobe is an elite defender in his own right. And I think Jordan is more physically gifted, more physically dominant, a better athlete, better attacker to the rim. No doubt about that. But I think he's better a better ball handler. I think he's a better shooter at every level. And I think as difficult of shots as Jordan was capable of making, I think Kobe is the greatest difficult shot taker and maker in NBA history. I can't say. If you dump either one of those guys in today's NBA, either one of them could easily average 40 points per game for an entire 82-game season while playing all 82 and being first-team All-NBA defense. So I think I would just say either one, E-Slum. That's the answer. Both would be my answer.
Yeah.
But great question, and many thanks for dropping that in and for supporting me here in the SCAP Live After Dark area. And many thanks, to all of you guys. Again, it seems like every night I'm saying this, we peaked out tonight at over 1,200 people. We had 1,200 plus people in here at one point for this little SCAP Live After Dark live session. So we still have, at this point, it's 2:45 in the morning where I'm at, and we still have, we're 2 hours in now, 448 people still here. So an absolutely unbelievable display of support from you guys. I am so humbled to have you guys continue to turn out here for me. I'm so grateful for you guys, and I'm grateful to you too, Gary, for your continued work and effort in here. So many thanks to you. Yes, this was night 5. We'll see if maybe we can just keep the streak going and make it
This is night 4.
Oh, night 4. Okay, I'm sorry. This was night 4.
Maybe the Warriors Timberwolves will be night 5.
Maybe we can make it a 5th straight night. It might have to be back by popular demand, because, like I said, still 450 plus and 1,200 at peak here. So crazy night, but a crazy live stream on the heels of what was a crazy game and just a crazy night in the NBA. And kudos to the legendary Nikola Jokic for just another chapter in his legendary book of exploits now in the NBA. Guys, again, many thanks to all of you. Many thanks to Gary. Perhaps I will see you guys tomorrow night. So stay tuned, possibly for more of that. And keep an eye out for my 2 videos on tonight's games, which will be forthcoming probably in the next couple hours. That's for both of them. Guys, have a great night. Until next time.